This is Get Real with Bob and Stacy, the show that helps you learn about the mortgage and real estate markets. Get the inside scoop from their expert list of guests and have some fun along the way. Now, here's Bob Gallagher and Stacy Alcorn.
Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacy. You're joining us for our Leaders of Legend segment, and our first guest today is Keith Watson, president of Iconic Orange, a marketing and advertising firm. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much, and look forward to the interview.
So I'm going to give everybody some background on Keith. As Bob mentioned, he's president of Iconic Orange, a marketing and advertising firm with a consultancy division. They're based in Atlanta, serving clients across the United States for 10 years. And Keith has led an innovative team which helps companies identify true brand authenticity and establish unique value propositions. They create and measure emotional involvement outcomes by developing engaging content and communication that compels the right audience to take the right actions, making a brand recognized and memorable. Specializes in healthcare and IT companies, Keith Watson and his team help clients uniquely position themselves to stand out in a noisy marketplace while attracting and retaining audience engagement to build brand reputation and meaningful relationships. So a couple of things. First, if you could tell us where the name came from, Iconic Orange, and tell us a little bit about the company.
Well, I can give you the sexy answer to Iconic Orange that we give to everyone else, and that it combines two things that we feel we build iconic messaging and iconic brands. And orange is one of the colors that's one of the few vocabulary colors in the English language that you can't find anything that rhymes with. So that goes to our uniqueness. The truth of the matter is, Iconic Orange was actually the most popular nail polish color in 2012 in France. So as we were searching for that, that's where the inspiration came from. But I had to have a nice, as a marketing and ad agency, had to have a good spin.
Awesome. So tell us about your brand.
Well, we started out, we cut our teeth in healthcare overall, working basically in the technology corridor, with companies that build technology for healthcare integration, and it stuck with us, and we kind of grew up in that industry. Now we serve other industries, other major brands in pharmaceutical and in other technology. We've been fortunate enough to work with Fortune 100 companies such as Merck. We've been, even more fortunate in some cases to work with some really small emerging companies that have went on to develop and become huge companies or be bought out by larger companies. But I would say our mainstay is mid-cap companies under $100 million is really where our sweet spot is. And kind of where our consultancy, the center of our business is in our consultancy, and where that develops is mostly in that arena, staying in the healthcare IT, but in that mid-market range.
So let's say a company reaches out to you. What happens during a consultancy review of a business?
Well, in the consultancy side, if that's what we're brought in to do, our first step is to go in and identify what the company feels on every level from C-suite down to middle management, what the goals and objectives, and the definition of the company, what they do. You'll be surprised at how many companies do not have a unified message of this is what we do and this is who we are. And then from there we take a deep, an in-depth analysis of all their operational, from HR to their technological platforms, to what their marketing strategies and planning efforts have been, what's been successful and what hasn't. And we dig a little bit deeper and past that into solid analysis based on our platforms, our proprietary platforms, and getting where they really are, a true view of where the company is sitting at that moment and what their true needs are. Because what we found most of the time, they hit the surface. Everybody thinks their problem may be X, but there's a root. And the root is usually all the way across. So it's a holistic approach. We can't go in and treat one part of the problem. As much healthcare speak, we can't just treat. We have to diagnose and then design a treatment plan for it.
Gotcha.
Excellent. What do you think the 3 biggest mistakes are that a company can make?
Wow, narrowing it down to 3. I think one is, right now we see technology, because there's so many people, there's so many young, brilliant minds that are developing great small platforms, technology platforms for marketing and sales. They immediately adopt them. They'll buy something for $69 and $99 and $139, and they'll look down. They're trying to pull data and analytics from 15, 20, 30. We've seen as much as 100 different platforms and programs to develop their marketing plan from, to develop their budgeting from, to base their success on what their campaigns have been. It doesn't work. Integration is probably number 1. Buying everything that sounds good kind of is the number 1 and combines with number 2. And then finding those, not having systems that integrate in together. And I would say number 3 is HR, is the human factor. It's ignored in marketing. They break it in silo the overall purpose and goals and objectives, and do not let sales and marketing work together, which is another, big issue. It is that the HR. So I would say technology, integration, and the human factor, the human element, and then with the over-encompassing umbrella of integration of them all, and focusing on that and keeping that focus.
How important do you think social media is right now for businesses?
Social media, because as you mentioned before, we practice a thing. We believe in relational communications, relational marketing. We practice our own method of what we call emotional involvement marketing. We feel that social media should be the tip of the spear of everyone's marketing efforts. Social media has started off in its early years of having a bad reputation, because there was a lot of people that, hey, three posts on Facebook, a post here, put your LinkedIn profile up, and it's the if you build it, they will come thought process. But it's the strategies that need to be there, because it's with social, that is who you are as a business, who you are relationally to the general public, to your consumer, and how they're wanting to connect with you first. Because the average consumer, before they make any decision, whether you're B2C or B2B, they're going to use at least 3 technology points, digital points, to find out more about you. Social media is number 1. And they're looking, because what they want to know from social media is who you are as a company. People don't buy products, and people don't buy services. People buy people. And that is from day one. That will never change. So social media is taken way too lightly, and sometimes taken way too overboard, and turned into, we're going to do technology and information dumps, when it's called social for a reason. It needs to be relational, and it needs to be at the tip of the spear of everything that they do.
Right.
Do websites have the same importance they used to, and what's changed?
Yes, websites are always going to have an extreme importance in the digital space. Again, going back to, people look for 3 sources: your social, digital, and they're going to look, depending on your business, review sites such as Yelp or Angie's List or those type of things, to see what other people are telling you, are talking about you and your company and your services. So your website is truly your hub. It's your digital hub and your image of who you are. The importance that it's changed is it's not so much the level of it and degree of importance, it's the fact of how it's being used and the importance of how it needs to be used now to where it wasn't that way, say, 10 or 15 years ago. 10 or 15 years ago, it was just a digital version of your brick and mortar. This is what we do. This is what we sell. You can order from our e-commerce site. Jeff Bezos changed that a lot with Amazon because that changes the e-commerce world tremendously, that in Shopify. So even on the e-commerce level, whether you're there or you're a high-level business, your website needs to be talking about who you are, putting a face on your company, letting people relate to you, letting them engage with you, and having good customer interaction and giving them the level of engagement that's easy for them to reach not only you, but the information that they need, and providing the information they need, not just the information you want to provide. Very few people want to read technical documents on what you do. If you're in a technical company, they don't want to know how the jeans made. They want to know more about you and why it's going to be cool to wear your blue jeans. Why is everyone else buying your product, and who are you as a company? And companies miss that a great deal. They spend a lot of time building out what all their products and service offerings are, and spending that time laying that out and not spending any time describing and developing a persona of themselves. And, you know, it is their representation of them as a person. And that's how people really identify first with a company. They want to know, is this someone I can relate to? Is this someone that's going to be my partner in whatever I'm buying, even on the simplest purchasing level? And you know, one of our things that we strive for, and I'm going to quote a very famous firm, Stacci & Stacci in Europe, and that's, we strive to build brands that people love and that they want to engage with and they want to be involved with. And that's what your website does, because that's where they're going to spend more time learning about you than any other place. They're not going to pick up the phone and call you first. They're going to find out as much information digitally, and your website needs to be that. You need to tell what you sell. You need to tell what your product is. And if you're technical, you need to have that ability for them to find it. But they want to know who you are first and who they're doing business with.
So Simon Sinek says that the best companies that grow unbelievable brands start with why, like why they do what they do. And basically you're helping brands expose not just what they do, but why they do what they do.
Exactly, that's what's behind the emotional involvement marketing.
Right.
It's building that brand love. It's
right.
building a brand that people love and trust, because if they love and trust you, they're going to share you, they're going to be loyal to you, and they're going to become walking, talking billboards, advocates for what you do and what you sell. And there is no amount of marketing spend that will ever buy that.
Right.
It's spending that time. Some companies that do it great. Look at Red Bull. I mean,
right.
They show you the experience, the lifestyle. Nike has went up and down, doing a great job with it. You know, mostly you get an emotional reaction.
Right.
For some of you guys that are in my age demographic, if you think of the old Kodak commercials that and Folger coffee commercials that, you know, they run at this season of the year, you know, that really can sometimes even be tearjerkers. They're connecting emotionally with the brand and engaging them, involving them in what they've got going on. And that's the key, is that engagement and involvement in an ongoing effort.
Right.
Too many companies hit and run. They may have something great, you've got a great piece of information, but there's nothing after that. We equate it a lot to dating, and sometimes it's the guy with the great one-liner, but then he has nothing. There's no depth to him after you walk out of the restaurant. And it's the same way with a lot of companies. They feel like they've hit the golden goose with some great messaging and a couple of great pieces or a great commercial, but after that, there's no substance. And It has to be follow through.
What I will say is you definitely walk your talk, because I'm checking out, I'm sitting on your website right now, iconicorange.com. I love it. It says we are brand storytellers, marketing architects. It's pretty awesome.
And thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, we take a different approach, and as we sit in front of every customer we tell them straight up, we may not be the right fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not, let's be honest with each other from the beginning. Let's shake hands and be good corporate citizens, and just say, hey, here's somebody that may be, because we are a little different, and some companies are uncomfortable with really dealing with the human factor, but they forget who's buying your product. To me, it's a very obvious and common thing. You connect, and it's no different than falling in love. It's no different than having a relationship with your family and friends. Connections make things stronger.
Absolutely.
And make things better. And companies lose sight of that. And there's very few people that have anything unique in this world to sell or to service. And there's a lot of competition, and it's growing every day. So the way to make a difference is to build that brand love, to have that emotional involvement with your consumer, with your potential consumer, and often forgotten, and I don't want to miss this point, with your current clients. Right. Don't ignore them. Don't forget that they've trusted you. You've convinced them one way or the other to do business with you, however it was. Start building that relationship and nurturing that relationship, because it will fail, and they will leave you for someone else that becomes a better friend.
Right. Awesome stuff. This has been Keith Watson, who is president of Iconic Orange. Keith, where can people find out more information, follow you, and research you more?
You can pretty much find us on every platform of social media. We're on Twitter at iconicorange, twitter.com is our handle. You can find all of our social media icons on our website. We'd love for you to go there first and check us out. We love feedback. That's how we grow. That's how we become better. So good, bad, or indifferent, we'd love to hear from anyone.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Keith.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. You guys take care.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.